Om Shanti. Good morning, Diamond morning, and happy Sadhguru to everyone. Baba's Murli, today is the 14th of July 2022. In the essence, Baba says, sweet children, break away from everyone else and have yoga with me alone, your father, and you will come to my land, and your final thoughts will lead you to your destination. Question: what would those who make effort to stay in the stage of silence not like? Answer: they would not even like the sound of a clock, because there is no sound in your original world, in brackets, the incorporeal world. This is why you make effort to go beyond sound. You have to become bodiless and stabilize in your original religion. Together with remembering Baba, you have to remember Baba's land. And Song of Baba's Murli. Listen to the complaint of the devotees. Om Shanti. God speaks. This is the yoga ashram, and you are sitting here to accumulate yoga. The Supreme Soul is speaking to you souls through these organs. In remembrance of whom are you souls now sitting? The soul says, I am a soul, and you are the same. All of us souls are sitting in remembrance of that Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. Who taught this yoga? God speaks. I am the Father of all souls. I have become the teacher in order to teach you yoga through this body. This is explained easily. It is said that when there is extreme defamation of religion, it is then that I come. These are the same versions of the previous cycle that are being repeated through a very ordinary body. It is said, these versions were spoken in the previous cycle too, and the Gita is written from these. So, when there is defamation of religion, and when many other religions are also present, and the name and trace of the deity religion has completely disappeared, those of the deity religion begin to call themselves Hindus. Although they worship the deities, they call themselves Hindus. It is as though the deity religion is replaced by the Hindu religion. This is known as defamation of religion. When the name and trace of that one deity religion disappears, many other religions, sects, and cults emerge and replace it. This is the same Gita of the previous cycle that is being repeated. No one else can speak these versions of God. That same one comes once again and repeats these same elevated versions of the Gita. These elevated versions are not mentioned in any other scripture. God's versions are mentioned in the Gita. God himself explains. He says, and what he says? When there are many religions, and it is the end of the Iron Age, I come at the confluence of the cycles, because the Iron Age is said to be Tamopradhan, and the Golden Age is said to be Satopradhan. There, it is the kingdom of gods and goddesses. That is, it is the kingdom ruled by deities. That too is on this stage. Vaikuntha paradise is not another place somewhere else. There was the kingdom of deities in this same pirate, and it has now disappeared. It is said of the Supreme Soul, God is knowledgeful. He alone is the ocean of knowledge, the ocean of bliss, and the ocean of happiness. No one apart from him has this godly knowledge. So how can anyone else be called knowledgeable? He says, I have to come here to give this knowledge. Until he himself comes and gives this knowledge, no one can become knowledgeable. This godly knowledge is called the philosophy through which souls are purified. Now, the question arises, why have you come here? You have come here once again, exactly as you did a cycle ago, to receive godly knowledge from God in order to be purified. In order to receive this knowledge, you will have to join this godly school. No one else can give this godly knowledge. They say that all of us have godly knowledge in us. Which knowledge is that? They say that God is omnipresent, but God says, that is false knowledge. I am not omnipresent. Whatever I am, however I am revealed in front of you, children. No one can know me, nor can anyone attain me until I come and speak my knowledge to you. This is why I have to come, and I come at the confluence of the cycles. That is all. When I come, there are many doctors of philosophy, holy men, great souls, who give their knowledge. They all give knowledge saying that they are God. On the one side, they say that God is one, and on the other side, there are so many opinions of theirs. So whom should you believe? God has not given them directions, has he? On the one side, there is the one direction from God, and on the other side, there is so many directions. And this is when God says, I have to come to finish all the many directions there are and to establish the one direction. This program is eternally fixed for me for every cycle. Other kings have a program of perhaps 8 to 10 days, but God's program is of the Gita and is eternally fixed for cycle after cycle. He comes in an incognito way into the form of Brahma, in the body of Brahma, and says, what he says when he comes, I establish that same land of Krishna, where the holy gods and goddesses, king, queen, and subjects live. He establishes that, and then he, Brahma, takes birth there in the form of Krishna. He establishes, Shiv Baba establishes that land, Vaikunt, and then he, Brahma, takes birth there in the form of Krishna. He's telling you very clearly, what he's saying very clearly, children, that same episode of the Gita is now repeating. Death is just ahead, and you must therefore break away from everyone else. Have yoga with me, the Supreme Soul alone, and your final thoughts will lead you to your destination, and you will come to my land. God sits in this body and says to his children, to you souls, what he says, sweet children, I have now come according to my eternal program. Destruction is just ahead. Therefore, have yoga with me, your father, and forget all other relatives. That is, extinguish all other lamps, in brackets, deepaks, and ignite the one deepak, and I will liberate you from all your sins and make you sit with me. God Himself is speaking through this body and explaining so easily. He says, you can have yoga and return home. Everyone has to return home. It is not that only those who are old will return. All the children will remain here. Look, when the bombs were dropped in Japan, young, old, animals and birds were all killed. That was just a small rehearsal. Now, many improvements are being made. You see that, Baba says, you see that, do you not? The bombs are ready. Everything has become so much advanced in technology and so, but that's why Baba says so many improvements are being made. You see that, do you not? The bombs are ready. History will definitely repeat. So remember me, God, and no one else. Just as Meera only remembered one Girdhar, that is Krishna, she renounced the opinion of society and her clan. You have to remember me, God, in the same way. Renounce remembering your maternal and paternal uncles, etc. All of those bondages are of the Iron Age. Only by having yoga with me can you meet me. When you consider yourself to be a child and have yoga with Papa, you will then have that happiness. However, if you have any wrong type of yoga, you cannot have that happiness. Many come here and say that they cannot control their minds or that they cannot experience bliss. The Supreme Soul is the ocean of bliss. And so how could you experience bliss if you do not have yoga with Him? Everyone has received an intellect according to, what is the most important factor to receive this intellect? Baba says, according to their past actions. What can God do about that? God is teaching everyone at the same time. Some study here and then begin to teach at the same time. Some are just confused in the first lesson. And so this too is a miracle of the intellect. In the same class, some claim a first number and others fail. Why? Because everything depends on, what everything depends on? You just said it. Your intellects. What can God do about that? What can God do about that? If He were to give a sharp intellect to everyone, what will be the benefit of that if you were to give a sharp intellect to everyone? Everyone would claim, number one, when there are bad omens over someone, then no matter how much medicine you give him, it would have no effect. Yet, when it is the time for the omens to be removed, the illness would then be cured with very little medicine. So, when the time comes, the intellects of some will be touched by these points. At the moment, some do not listen, but as you progress further, they will begin to listen. We have to remain content with this. God's coming and going and His method of giving you knowledge are unique. And now we go on to the second Murli, join to this one. Om Shanti. So we can pause for a moment and have sweet remembrance. There mustn't even be the sound of a clock because it is now our stage of retirement. That is, It is our stage of being beyond sound. We go beyond sound to the incorporeal world where souls reside. There are no words there. There is supreme silence there. So we are making effort to reach that stage of silence, and we therefore do not like sound. There is no sound in that original land, and we are therefore making effort to go into the stage of retirement, that is, to go beyond sound. Retirement means to go to the land of nirvana, where the souls of myself, you, and the whole world reside. This corporeal world is the stage for us to play our parts. However, we go and reside there in the sweet, silenced home without parts, because we have no parts to play there. This corporeal play takes place under the element of the sky, whereas the world of all us souls is the great element, which is a world very far away. Those who sit and have yoga with that world of silence do not like the sound of even a clock. This is known as being stable in your original religion of the self, that is, to remain bodiless. This means to remember the land of our Baba together with Baba, because our Baba is the resident of that faraway place. He comes from there into this foreign land. Why does he come to the foreign land? What's the reason for Baba's coming to the foreign land, which is this world? He comes to establish his kingdom, and he comes in an incognito form. His part is incognito, just as your body is old. Similarly, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul says, I too have to enter this old body, to destroy this old world and to establish the new deity world. Those who come into the old home will also definitely have to take old bodies. How can there be new divine bodies here? So that one is in this one's old body, and he establishes the kingdom of Shri Krishna through this body. So whoever first comes to this one has a vision of Vaikuntha paradise. You see the divine activities and dancing of Vaikuntha. That is, you have visions of Vishnu, because if you were to have a vision of the Supreme Soul, you would not be able to understand what that is, because no one knows the Father or that he is gone. Although people worship him, no one knows him. They say that God is omnipresent and that everyone is God. No one knows the occupation of a Shiva Lingam. No one knows the occupation of a Shiva Lingam. That is our Supreme Father, who adopts three forms in order to carry out the three tasks of creation, sustenance, and destruction. He comes at this time and tells us his occupation. He says, those who want to become heirs to the kingdom of Vaikuntha should come to me and become my children. I will make them completely viceless and take them to my kingdom. He comes here to purify all the dirty souls. Even matter becomes pure through this. There, the souls as well as the five elements are pure. That is in heaven. That is the deity world. And so, what can you say? At this time, the philosophy of deityism has disappeared. No one knows that the deity world existed here, They believe that the deities used to reside somewhere up in the sky, but their images are here, their history is here, and so they must definitely have existed here. This world continues all the time. Annihilation never takes place, that is complete destruction. When destruction takes place, all souls go back, and the deity religion is established here. When you have gain, Bible says, when you have grain and don't eat all of it, you eat most of it, but keep some behind for sowing again. Where else would you get the seeds from? If annihilation were to take place, then all the grain would also finish. Then from where would you get grain to sow for the next crop? So just as grains are eternal, in this context Baba is explaining, so human beings are the same. So it is as though God saves some seeds and takes everyone back home, through which the world then grows. The Father also says, I destroy the innumerable religions and establish the one religion. He doesn't say that he brings about annihilation. This is the final birth of everyone, and no one will then take birth in the land of death. Everyone will return home, and a few seeds will be left, and they will gradually increase. Then there will be 330 million gods and goddesses by the end of the Silver Age. Then the other religions continue to come, number-wise. They too continue to increase gradually. It is Almighty Baba who comes and tells you all the secrets of this drama, and this is therefore called godly knowledge. Nowhere else will you get this knowledge. No matter how much you tour around, no one has this knowledge. It is only here and at this time, when God is creating his deity genealogical tree, that you can receive this knowledge. God says, if you wish to come into my royal plan, then surrender everything to me. I will purify all and then return you to Vaikunt. You know that Baba has come at this time and that he will come again after a cycle. He will not come again and again. He says, children, I have come to make you clean and holy. Those who are viceless are said to be holy. Those who continue to drink and smoke cannot be called holy. Those who continue to drink and smoke cannot be called holy. Baba becomes the teacher and teaches you, and he becomes the father and looks after you. You receive double blessings, that is, blessings from that one, from the Guru, and from the Father. You are receiving the inheritance from both. That Almighty Baba is carrying out your physical and subtle sustenance through this body. And he therefore says, surrender yourselves to this one. He will purify you with the nectar of knowledge and take you back. This is known as dying alive, but this is a very sweet death. Why is he saying it is a very sweet death? He says, because you go into the lap of your true Father. He explains so well. How much more can he explain? Even then, he finally says, two words he finally says, Manmanabha and Madhyajiva. To belong to him with the mind, and Madhyajiva is to get the inheritance of heaven. Acha, okay. To the sweetest, beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bap Dada. The spiritual father says Namaste to the spiritual children, and the spiritual children say Namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for Dharana, first point. Be bodiless and stabilize in your original religion. Remember Baba in Baba's home. Remain silent. Baba's home is the soul's world. Remain silent. And the second point, in order to enter a royal clan, surrender everything to the Father and become as pure as the Father. Baba's blessing for today. May you be a Jnani and Yogi soul and use all the treasures you have been filled with by the Father and increase them. And Baba explains, Bab Dada has filled all of you children with all treasures. And it is when you use those treasures at the right time that those treasures continue to increase. You can never say, I didn't want to do it, but it just happened. Jnani and Yogi souls who are full of all treasures first think and then act. According to the time, they are touched with something which they catch and put it into a practical form. If you even think a second after doing something, you would not be called a Jnani soul. And the slogan for today, even though there may be a difference in your natures and ideas, let there not be any difference in your love. Om Shanti. So, Baba wants us to reach our final destination by remembering